Welcome in, everybody, to another episode of ZB's Horsepower Talk. As always, I'm ZB Zach Brown, and joining with me back at it is my dad, former 410 Sprint Car crew chief and mechanic Jeff Brown. Let's break down Las Vegas, which gave an exciting weekend, especially in the Cup Series. Everything was thrown out at it. Blackjack wins the 21 wins at Las Vegas. So that's pretty awesome to see. It's an old school win with Josh Berry coming away with the win. Really awesome to see the Wood brothers put a win at a track that you would not expect them to even come close to winning at. They're traditionally, lately, winning at the speedway races, but it shows how good that team is and how good Josh Berry is and how good his potential has been. And luck falls your way a lot of times here at Las Vegas.
Yeah, well, it's basically a fourth Penske car. The cars are prepared there in Mooresville, North Carolina, at the Penske shop and everything. But, I had Josh Berry in my final 16. I figured he would win either on a speedway track or possibly like a Martinsville. He's a good short track racer. I wouldn't have picked him, for a mile and a half. But you know what? That car's been pretty good all year. He did a great job. The thing was fast all day. And but it was a good race. The tracks kind of wore out, tires kind of start fading. There was a record set of lead changes for Las Vegas race, and these cars just put on a good show on that track. Just the short track program just is suffering right now. So these mile and a halves are pretty exciting. There's a lot going on. And it's nice when there's enough cautions. Cautions, I hate to say it, but it actually, I think, makes the racing better. The restarts are what gets exciting. Strategies, change. When you just run to the stage breaks, it gets kind of boring.
Yeah, and that gave Wood Brothers their 101st win as a team. And just a team, again, it's one of those that had a chance to get in, but not one that you'd see maybe even contend. And Josh Berry now showing that he could potentially contend for a championship based on what tracks will be raced throughout the year. And getting this win this early builds that momentum for that team. One less thing they have to worry about to get into the playoffs. You might see multiple wins out of that team now. And it's all about confidence, all about momentum, and that's what they've got now. And I think you could potentially see them win another one or two and be one of possible favorites to win a championship. Why not?
That would be huge for Wood Brothers. Like I said, it was one of the original NASCAR teams still around today, even though things are changed a little bit. They're not based out of Virginia anymore. But, it's still, legendary crew and the whole deal. So that's pretty awesome. They've still got the old school looking pit uniforms like they used to have. It's pretty sweet. Good for Josh Berry. He seems to be one of the nice guys at racing, fan favorite for everybody, whether you're a Ford, Chevy, Toyota fan. I don't think anybody was disappointed to see him come away with that win.
It helps he raced for Junior for a number of years.
That probably has something
to build that favoritism. But yeah, who'd expect he would have gotten his first career win this year rather than last year with the SHR gang and all of that. And another one that didn't show a good finish because, first of all, how many damn pit road penalties and every penalty were you going to see in Las Vegas? I mean, that was insane just overall. And one late race mistake that was made, Noah Gregson, that team was a top 10 car all day long. That was a fast car. They were going to get a top 10 with the pit cycle and the mistakes they made on pit road. That costed them. And speaking of bad luck, damn Kyle Busch that crew just can't get it together. They cannot. No. When I think Kyle Busch originally had a pit road speeding penalty, that's not a big deal. You can get through. He had that early. Everybody had a pit road speeding penalty, it seemed like early on. You can fight through that. Then his crew costs him by losing an entire wheel. Then he spins out, and then it's just nothing was going his way.
Yeah, they actually pulled it back into the pits to work on, came back out. I wouldn't have came back out. I've been like, screw that.
Well, it's more of a pride thing. He was racing at his home track, and
I guess sometimes you just got to throw in the towel.
He's just more frustrated than anything.
But some of the other ones that are a little bit surprising this year, and surprising in a bad way, which kind of surprises me. Brad Keselowski has really been struggling, where Ryan Preece and Chris Buescher have been pretty good. You know, Ryan Preece came home, what, second?
Third.
Third? And he's been terrible. Ty Gibbs has been horrible.
Yeah.
All the Gibbs cars, other than Christopher Bell, the Gibbs cars have not been fast.
Well, Denny Hamlin finished second at Phoenix, and he was.
But I forget Denny Hamlin's a Gibbs car. I'm thinking he's with the 2311.
Yeah, well, yeah, it's Denny and Christopher Bell are the best cars. I mean, they've always been, but
yeah, it just seems like there's a big drop off between.
Well, specifically Ty Gibbs, he had a terrible weekend between making his sprint car debut on Saturday at Las Vegas dirt track, flipping in the feature.
Yeah,
immediately. He did that immediately and just had a terrible day at Las Vegas. So he just wants to forget about Vegas and move on. Pretty much the entire West Coast swing. He wants to the mini swing they had, just forget about that. Yeah, right now there's not a clear-cut favorite. The one car that's been consistently fast but can't show finishes, and they mentioned this several times on the broadcast, Joey Logano, the defending champ. He's putting together great races. Come third stage, they're really nowhere to be found.
Most laps and got the most stage points this year, and
the fastest cars of all these races, minus Christopher Bell, maybe the last week or two, they haven't won. Like Kyle Larson was very clearly the fastest at the end of Las Vegas, and he was running away with it. But the way pit cycles work at Vegas and the way the cautions were falling, kind of cost him.
Yeah, they kind of gambled on that race being no more cautions.
Yeah, I wouldn't have done that. The way the cautions were falling the entire race, there were a lot of cautions, a lot more than I expected. And not all of them were for crashes. They were for tires falling off, blown tires, anything you can imagine. It was a good race. That made it a good race. The restarts were phenomenal, and they would go 4 or 5 wide. Didn't work. I like Las Vegas. I've been saying Las Vegas would be a tremendous championship race.
Yeah, it would be neat, and transitioning into, we had the high limit at Las Vegas. How cool would it be to have your championship race if you could have it, like they have the dirt finals at Charlotte, and have NASCAR, the dirt, and NHRA all in the same weekend. That would be cool. One of the two tracks you could do it. It'd be there, or Charlotte would be the one you could do that with. That would be quite the motorsports event.
Be a lot. It'd be a lot to do. And
it's probably not feasible, but that would be kind of a cool. Unfortunately, the dirt track at Las Vegas is shit. That track is just horrible.
Yeah. And it didn't help that the weather was terrible in Vegas. You thought we were there in Vegas. It was terrible weather. Sunday was a beautiful day. Yeah. Every other day was crap. This truck race barely got in. It started getting better Saturday. The truck race, that took them forever to get in. High limit, they were just like, we're just going to delay everything. And we'll talk about high limit, touch on that real quick at the end with Darren Pittman making his season debut for the 69K, a little bit different than what was expected in Vegas. But overall, it was a good weekend. Corey Haim gets the win in the Truck Series. Didn't see that one because it was just so many delays. But not shocker that Corey Haim gets an early season win, locks himself in the playoffs. Now the Xfinity Series, they didn't race, I don't believe. Yeah, they did. Justin Allgaier, duh.
Yeah, Allgaier won.
Yeah, Allgaier won. Yeah, he whipped. That was an ass kicking. And he finished
another good run by Connor Zilic. That's
Yeah, and Connor Zilic again had trouble early on, then fought his way through and came back and had another solid finish. He's going to get another win this year. He's going to get one on an oval. I can almost put money on that.
He's been doing very well.
Carson's going to get. I think each one of the JRM cars will get a win this year.
All four of them have been fast.
They've all been good. You can't really count them out. I wouldn't be surprised if they all get a win. A lot of good tracks coming up for them too, starting with this week. So let's transition into this week. Homestead, Miami. It's another mile and a half, 1 mile and a third, whatever you want to call it, it's a 1.5-mile track, but it's a little bit different.
It's a traditional oval.
Yeah, and kind of what the
Which
shape
I
of.
like.
Yeah, it was almost the shape of what Atlanta used to be.
Yeah.
But the turns way different. It's one of the first tracks to go progressive banking, if I'm not mistaken. And you'll see people ride the wall, Larson and Reddick. Those two will be on the wall, and it'll be an exciting race. Homestead always. This car is so good at these type of tracks, and it's going to be another great race. I fully expect that.
Yeah, I agree. But the funny thing, you're going to see those guys up against the wall. But I bet the guy who wins the race is going to be the one who, at least for a while, can run around the inside. You're still going to have a car that, you're still going to have a car that handles, because everybody's going to try to be up on the wall. Larson and Reddick are going to be a lane higher than everybody else. But you still, you're going to have to make room to pass those guys. So you're going to have to, be good on the bottom. You're going to see slide jobs coming through.
Well, Larson, it might legitimately be slide jobs. And this is a track, it's one of his better tracks, but he also seems to try too hard when he's doing it. This is where he absolutely demolished the barrels of sand on pit road, where he was trying to make a little bit of ground up. I think it was on Ryan Blaney.
I forgot about that.
He said, "Screw these barrels, I hate sand," and destroyed them. And he had a chance to win that, if not at least get a solid finish. Between Las Vegas and this track, I think these are the two favorite tracks that should be the championship race. And is it? Because Homestead always delivered on a great championship weekend.
Yeah.
I think it should go back there. I think a lot of drivers and a lot of former drivers have agreed on that too. I like Homestead. I do. I think it's going to deliver another good race. And there is a triple header happening this weekend. Kyle Larson is racing in the Truck Series, the Xfinity Series, and the Cup Series. I don't think he's ever done that before.
I don't believe so.
At least since he's been a Hendrick, at the very least, but I don't think he's ever done that. That will be an interesting one. The Spire Motorsports trucks are really good.
Yeah.
And the Hendrick ones are always, that's Junior Motorsports, that's all together, and they will be fast on Saturday. And then we'll see what happens this Sunday. And
he's just getting the body ready for the 1,100 miles coming up here in about 2 months.
Yeah, so this is like what, a total of 700 miles the same day.
Yeah, over 3 days, not in the same day, but it still takes a toll, and
I still don't think it takes as much of a toll as a sprint car does over multiple nights.
Probably not.
Just the way those handle and the dirt tracks are. Let's give our fantasy lineup, and we'll dive into talk about a little bit more about the triple header happening this weekend with Larson. But let's go into our NASCAR fantasy lineups. And you go ahead first, since I got destroyed last week and I'm now in last place in fantasy.
But we were all within 30 points of each other. So
everybody on my team wanted to wreck, lose tires, ruin their entire chances of a race. Once again, a winning pick for the race finished last for me. So that's fun. So I apologize for the driver that I will be picking this week. But go ahead with your NASCAR fantasy lineup for Homestead, Miami.
All right. So my 5 starters, I have Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, and got a real smack brain in the garage. I got William Byron in my garage.
Damn, just going all stars on this one.
Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I got to beat mom somehow. So in my feature matchups, we have Josh Berry versus Brad Keselowski. Brad's been struggling. Got to go Josh Berry on that one. Tyler Reddick and Larson. That one's an interesting one. So I'm going to pick Larson on that one. You'll see why. Carson Hocevar and Dinger. Dinger had a surprisingly good run last week. So I'm going to keep the momentum rolling with Dinger. Carson Hocevar has actually been fast all year, but I'm going to keep it with Dinger. Go with Dinger on that one. And Ryan Blaney and Denny Hamlin, another tough matchup. If Blaney gets a little bit of luck on his side, he's going to be up there. So I got Blaney on that one.
Well, we are completely different on everything. So this will be an interesting week. My starting lineup for Homestead, Miami. I've got William Byron, Alex Bowman, last week's winner, Josh Berry, Another great race for him. Didn't come with the finish, but I've got Noah Gragson in my lineup. Don't think I've ever said that. And I have Tyler Reddick. And in my garage, I have Ryan Blaney. Feature matchups. This is where we are the same. I have Josh Berry over Keselowski. Again, with Keselowski struggling, it's hard to pick him right now. Now he's probably going to do well. Tyler Reddick versus Kyle Larson. I do have Tyler Reddick over Larson. Carson Hocevar versus AJ Allmendinger. I have Hocevar over Dinger. And Denny Hamlin versus Ryan Blaney. I have Denny Hamlin over Ryan Blaney. And the hot pick this week, according to DraftKings, is Tyler Reddick, who is understandable. We were just mentioning him. He runs really well at Homestead. It fits his style of racing. Christopher Bell, it's got to be a hot pick. I mean, says to avoid Joey Logano. I don't know if you would necessarily always avoid Joey Logano. He still will probably perform well. I'm pretty sure he's won here before when he won a championship. So, I mean, say what you want there. This time it actually says avoid Chris Buescher. He's not a sleeper this week. So that's something different for him. And the sleeper, you were mentioning it, AJ Allmendinger is the sleeper for this week. Now, time to give our race winning picks. Or in my case, whoever finishes last. Who is your pick?
Much better.
Who is your pick to win at Homestead?
You know, he's been getting better. I got to go with Kyle Larson this week. Sorry, Kyle.
Is Kyle going to pull off the sweep?
No.
All right.
But it is, well, I'm not going to say the trucks. I was going to say it's going to be an all Chevy. The cars, all Chevy weekend.
And who's Mom's pick?
Mom's pick is Tyler Reddick.
Mom and I are agreeing once again in 2 weeks in a row. So we apologize, Tyler, but I am also going with Tyler Reddick. It's hard to not pick him here at Homestead. I think he will have a really good race. He's building up momentum too. I don't think Larson goes for the sweep. I think Larson wins trucks and Xfinity, has all the buildup and the hype going into Sunday, and I think he ends up trying too hard and bangs the wall.
It's very possible.
I could definitely see that one happening.
It seems like in the trucks, though, it seems like the Toyotas are a little bit faster truck, but they also don't have Kyle Larson in there. So we'll be interesting to see.
Oh, no, that Spire truck's pretty good when they have a Cup driver in it. I mean, Kyle Busch runs pretty well in it. So I think they'll be pretty solid. I agree with you. I think Chevys will be strong, but randomly Toyota show up out of nowhere. Those suckers like Christopher Bell for a few weeks in a row is coming out of nowhere and showing up. And I think it's getting close to where Reddick's going to start getting hot. I think it's a really good track for him. He raced pretty well at Las Vegas. This suits his style. Let's shift over real quick into previewing NHRA. I didn't get to touch on that last week, but NHRA had a great season start in Gainesville. They had a lot of weather that changed a lot of qualifying, so only 2 rounds of qualifying went with whoever was able in the top 16 there went into Sunday. So all 4 series. The shocker of the weekend was Gage Herrera winning in the motorcycles. So clearly nothing has changed in that for him. But I picked a couple second place finishers and winner. I did pick a winner. So
you did pretty good. You did pretty good on that one. I didn't get anything right.
Yeah, because Matt Smith finished second to Gage Herrera. I believe Dallas Glenn beat Greg Anderson, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And then I was completely wrong about Austin Prock. I would never not have guessed Austin Prock was out that early because randomly Chad Green won in the funny car. I've seen the name, but he's not somebody you really see would win.
Right. But I'm not even 100% sure what car that is.
That was really the only big surprise of the weekend because Antron, I got that one right.
Yeah.
Antron Brown gets a win. That team is fast. They're building that momentum from last year, and they are solid this year. Completely different conditions coming this week because Florida weather and Arizona weather are nothing alike. Even though it wasn't humid in Florida, still going to be a lot different in Arizona.
Yeah, even the 30, 40% humidity here in Florida, which is really dry, versus 4, 5, 6% when they go to Arizona.
Well, we don't have to worry about a motorcycle pick because they are not racing on this West Coast swing that they're having, at least the first couple races.
Yeah, it's kind of weird why they do that, but
Well,
But
I think it's good. A lot of those motorcycle teams don't have the funding like the bigger teams do.
yeah,
Of course, it might cost just as much to run a motorcycle these days as it does the pro stock mods. So, uh, Arizona, I don't know what the weather is, but again, it's going to be a lot different than Florida. Them traveling out west. This is the first part of their first Western swing of the year. As they go here, they go Pomona, then they go to Vegas.
yeah. So that's I think 2 or 3 of them are like right in a row. I don't think they have week off between them. So
This
that
one
makes
and
it.
the following one are back. I think back to back weeks, and then they have 1 week off, and then go to Vegas, and then
Okay.
they go to Charlotte 2 weeks after Vegas. Both 4 wide nationals in a row.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's it's an interesting and it's a toll on crews, equipment, parts, the whole deal. So it's always fun. I just wish their TV coverage was better. It's 3 hours long. It just does not need to be that long.
No,
Nobody wants to see most of the fluff.
well, the TV schedule they're not live. It's already been
Yeah.
done. Now, again, and we learned this too, that they pay Fox Sports to show their stuff. Well, why not come to an agreement with Flow Sports, where Flow Sports is used to showing live events like that for
Yeah.
hours on end, and they could make it work. They could show the small racers that are racing in between the sessions of NHRA.
Yeah, it's when they
That can
just
all
turn it on
be,
and let it kind of run and while you're doing other stuff and just
yeah, and then you don't have to worry about getting on a TV schedule. It's a stream schedule, so whoever wants to tune in, I think that would work better. It's logical. Flow Sports has so many other different sports. They show wrestling. You know how hard it is to show a wrestling tournament that lasts
yeah.
8 hours? Yeah, they show that whole thing.
You
They can
you
make
are
it
on
work.
there somewhere. Just for a heads up, you are on Flow Sports, one of your high school wrestling tournaments.
Yeah, it's like in their archives now, but yeah. But still, to watch like a lot something live like that, they do track and field things. They do every
Yeah,
sport and they make it work.
yeah. I
I
mean,
would
they actually do a lot of drag racing as it is, different
I
regional
I
races.
mean, I don't know what the
I agree with
cost
it. I think it would be better.
I don't know what the cost would be, but I feel like the numbers would be just as good, if not better, if it were available on Flow Sports. That's all I'm saying. I think it would be I think it'd be a smart move. But enough, not really more to really preview. We don't know a whole lot going on with NHRA at the moment.
Yeah,
We
they haven't
have,
really raced to see who's kind of trending one way or the other. It's only been one, so
yeah. So let's give our picks. 3 series this week: Pro Stocks, Funny Car, Up to Top Fuel. Who are you looking at for this week in Chandler, Arizona?
yeah, there you go. So we'll start with pro stock. So I like being a little different than normal. So I'm going to try Troy Coughlin Jr. pro stock, Bob Tasca for funny car, and I'm going to go with Brittany Forrest for top fuel.
All right. Yeah, Brittany was solid. She
Yeah,
had a solid run.
the car's usually fast. She usually just sucks on a light at some point and then just gets beat.
So my picks for NHRA this week in Pro Stock, I am going with Aaron Stanfield. That's who you picked last week, so I'm going to go with him this week. I find it hard that he's going to have 2 really not up to par weeks in a row. And in Funny Car, I thought about it. I think I'll just go with your pick last week. I think I'll copy a little bit from last week for you. I'm gonna go with Ron Caps in that
Okay.
one. And in Top Fuel, I, you know what? Screw it. I'm just gonna go with it. I'm picking Tony Stewart in Top Fuel.
Okay. So maybe you're going to just copy all my picks from last week, and you'd probably be ready to be a week off.
No, I didn't want to pick Coletta. I don't know. Tony's got to get one here sooner or later. The car's not bad. It's really good. It ran pretty well in Florida. Had some good runs.
Yeah.
All right. Well, let's last thing to preview is because we don't get to preview it that often. This is the last race of March for them until it's for a few weeks. IndyCar has their all-star race, so to speak, their $1 million challenge at the Thermal Circuit Grand Prix. And that's a private little event, I believe, out in California, if I'm not
Yeah.
mistaken. It's again, it's kind of like one of those golf course places, but it's a race car track. They have their own private races there. IndyCar, I guess, rents it out. And last year was terrible. It was a terrible show. It was very boring because Alex Blow whipped the ever living dog crap out of everybody. He won only by it was like a Formula One race. Let's be real.
Yeah,
He
it
won
was
like by
bad.
he won by like 25, 30 seconds.
Yeah,
He whipped him.
it's a weird format that they use, and I don't know if they changed it up from this year. And certain tire rules, like you can or can't change tires when you make pit stops, and I don't know.
Honestly, I'm not sure if it
Hopefully, they
really
tweaked it a little bit because they needed help on that one.
I'm not sure if it really would make too much of a difference because this is kind of where Pelot puts a stamp on some people, this type of racing.
For sure.
Uh, it's a neat little track. I do
It's a
like
really
it.
cool track. Yeah.
I think that it's neat. I wouldn't mind seeing a little more out of this, like maybe an oval all-star type race. Do like this type one, maybe an oval all-star later on in the year somewhere where they don't get to race that often. That'd be neat. I don't know how viable it is, but throw them on North Wilkesboro. That could be fun. I mean, it's the same size as Iowa,
Yeah. Well,
but
it's a little small. Iowa 7/8.
yeah, well,
Oh, it'd
give
be
or
neat. That well, they'd be look like sprint cars going around a quarter mile on that track.
no, you couldn't have. Well, there's only like 20 cars anyways, but it could be fun. It could be a little all-star race. You do it. I think it's a good challenge to for the crews. I don't believe there's any points involved. I think it's just money,
Yeah.
and I think it's a good little more or less practice run. See where you're at on these road courses to get prepared for the rest of the year because most of the races are road courses, street courses, and things of that nature. Really flat track, not much elevation in this one.
Yeah, sort of out in the desert there of California. Like I said, it's a neat place. I mean, they got like a clubhouse and bars, and it's pretty cool. It'd be. I don't. I'm assuming spectators can get in. I don't think you got to be a member to come watch this thing, but I'm not quite sure how that whole thing works. So
All I know is I can't be a member there. That's no possibility. Well, I'm going to go out on a limb here with my pick. I'm picking Alex Below for this.
all right, I'll be different. I'll go on just a little different limb. I'm going to take Joseph Newgarden.
Probably the top two contenders at this one.
You got Scott McLaughlin. I mean, you can't count out Scott Dixon. He just seems to show up out of nowhere anymore. You know, being one of the older guys running, he's still there. There's what 5-6 cars that could probably win any given week.
Unless I pick them, then they finish dead last.
Right. Yep.
Sorry, Alex. I apologize. All right, just want to touch on High Limit and World of Outlaws. Let's talk about World of Outlaws. We'll end with High Limit. But World of Outlaws was at Kennedale in Texas this past weekend at the it was like the Cowtail Classic or something like that. Or
little bull ring track.
And the first night, the track was just
Slick.
That's putting it lightly. It was they couldn't put any throttle down.
But it wasn't that bad of a race though, because
but
slow the cars down, the racing gets better.
It was hard to pass though. Like to make passes, it was very difficult. The second night is about the combination you want. It was about perfect the way you want a bull ring setup, and it was a lot better race there. And finally, it wasn't a complete dominating weekend by David Gravel.
Yeah, he had a bad week. He got second the first night and fifth the second night.
Yeah, I mean, loser.
Yeah, that was it's funny to say that was the second night is probably the worst David Gravel's been all year, and he still gets fifth. So
yeah, well,
Gio Selzy won
first night, and then Buddy gets the second night. So,
right. Yeah, Buddy Kofoid was running the shit out of that thing the second night. I mean, he was just abusing
randomly. Anthony Macri was racing.
Yeah, that was you know.
They
did race Lincoln, but you know why not?
Well, I thought
they got the money to do it, and it's only going to make you better running with those guys.
Well, I was thinking he was full time in High Limit, but I guess not.
I guess not.
So, and he didn't run bad. I think he got top 10 at least one of the nights.
The second night he was pretty good. I think he was quick time one of the nights and the whole deal. So yeah, it's like I said, run those guys. It's only going to make you better.
Yeah, I don't know what type of weather they had in
Bill
Texas.
Baylog has been pretty good this year.
Yeah, he's more consistent than he usually is because you get 1 week he wins and the next week he finishes 15th, and then the next week he finishes like 11th, but now he's a little more consistent in the top 10s and top 5s and contending. Maybe it's the change of the paint scheme. I don't know. I don't really like this paint scheme. I liked it when it was blue. I don't like change, but
randomly I saw was a post on Facebook. He was looking for some crew help for this weekend's outlaw race. I think it's in Missouri. And so, if anybody's got experience working on the car and, wants to go help, I guess try to get in touch with him. Wish they'd be a little closer.
if they're in Charlotte or in Volusia.
Yeah, if he would have been asking that a few weeks ago, I might have been like, hey.
Yeah,
the big tire goes on the right.
Yeah, they're Cotton Bowl this weekend. I think that's out in it's in Texas.
Oh, was it Texas? Okay,
that makes sense. Cotton Bowl,
Missouri. And I hope I'm not wrong saying it was Bill Baylog. I'm pretty sure that's who it was, but
I'm not sure. I didn't see anything about that.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk about the high limit because it ended up being kind of disappointing. They were expecting huge turnout for this race with Christopher Bell racing, and you had Larson, Ty Gibbs, and all these NASCAR Cup Series guys racing the sprint cars, and it ended up being, well, Ty Gibbs was a little bit of a disappointment, and Larson was racing, and Christopher Bell wasn't able to race in the 69K on Saturday. It ended up being Darren Pittman, who was the fastest car that night and ran out of fuel.
Yeah, like I said, I only saw the highlights, but apparently there was a caution with like 14 laps in. I guess it must have just been a brutally long caution. And these engines anymore, they burn a ton of fuel. Back when we were building them, our engines definitely did not burn as much fuel as these other ones. So if they would have had Dad's old engine in, he probably would not have ran out of fuel as quick as he did, because they definitely don't use as much as these other ones.
Well, it started a trend where when he ran out of fuel, everybody started running out of fuel. Then they threw the caution after that. I'm like, are you kidding me?
Yeah, because he, which he actually Ty Gibbs got upside down on the backstretch of the first lap, which actually helped Darren Pittman because
he had bad start.
The first one, he had a bad start. I don't know if it just spun or wasn't up the temperature, didn't take off, or what happened. But the next one, he had a good start, and he had like a couple second lead and was just cruising, and everybody's like, Corey Day was catching him. Yeah, he was starting to run out of fuel by then.
Yeah, it started sputtering, and I don't know. I just feel like you're gonna throw that caution, and everybody's starting to run out of fuel over the red flag, the open red, and it's too late. I'm like, I don't know how many laps went by before they ended up throwing that.
Yeah, well, they're saying they want to try to run 60 laps, and I don't know if they're adjusting that for track size, because I mean, Vegas is a bigger track than some of these smaller. 60 laps around a third mile isn't a whole lot, but you get close to a half mile, there's a lot. Yeah, they could put bigger fuel cells on those cars.
Well, they're gonna have to figure that out. They're gonna have to mandate something if they don't want this catastrophe to happen again. Because
if 60 is their thing, make it 50. Be done.
Well, if it was only Pittman that ran out of fuel, I'd be like, okay, well, somebody messed up on their crew. They just didn't put enough fuel in it. But everybody was running out of fuel.
Yeah.
And I just don't. I don't know how many laps went by before they finally threw that open red. I feel like he should have at least had some track position given back based on them throwing that open red like that. I don't know. Don't know what their rules are, but that was kind of that was a little frustrating to see.
But they conveniently threw it before Larson and Corey Day and Brad Sweet ran out of fuel.
Well, yeah.
I'm just saying.
Yeah.
But Corey Day comes home with the win.
Nobody was catching him after.
Larson tried, but he just wasn't going to get him.
He tried everything. He was going every which way, and going high, going down low on the exit.
He was trying. It would have taken Corey Day to slip up a little bit.
He was trying. He was trying to get in his head at most. It just wasn't. And Corey's
you don't phase that kid. Which he had his first NASCAR truck pole at Vegas.
Oh, he had the pole.
Yep, he did have the pole.
Where
That's
did he
pretty awesome
finish
for
it? Where did he finish at Vegas? Did you see?
I think he got into a crash.
That wouldn't shock me. How you finish in Truck Series is if you can avoid a crash. Yeah, it looks like got in a crash. Oh well. Well,
He'll get it. He's
I
too
think
good of
he's
a
doing an
racer.
he's
He's
doing
only
an Xfinity race one of
18,
these.
19.
Yeah, he's in an Xfinity race one of these weeks too,
Yeah.
and I think he'll do well. He's
He's just a natural talent.
they're gonna have to. I'm kind of looking at Junior or Chevrolet in general. You better pick this kid up before one of your rivals picks him.
Yeah.
Because he's going to be good. It doesn't matter what he drives.
Do we dare say he replaces Justin Allgaier if he decides to not run full time anymore?
I could see that. I mean,
Be a
Allgaier's almost 40. Wouldn't surprise me if Allgaier starts stepping away.
Yep,
He's got his championship.
Yep.
He's got his championship. He's got some I think top 5 most wins in Xfinity series.
Maybe Junior tries to run a few more cup races and puts Allgaier in that car. Allgaier's kind of
one thing Junior's known for is developing drivers, as the 3 young drivers right now. I don't think we've ever mentioned this. One quick tangent before we're done. The Xfinity series is going away. It's not going to be Xfinity anymore. They're looking for sponsorship starting next year.
I didn't see
so this
that.
is the last year for Xfinity. Not exactly sure which sponsor would look at it. We've gotten so used to saying Xfinity over the last decade or something, but we got used to saying Nationwide after the Busch series and all of that. So let's give this quick question. Put this out there. What company would be best fit to sponsor the NASCAR now Xfinity series?
Starlink.
Yeah.
The SpaceX. You know what? I kind of like how we don't really have one for Cup.
Yeah, but you don't call them, and you call the Cup Series Cup Series. What would you don't even call?
They
you
used,
call the
they
Truck
used to
Series
be called the Xfinity. They used to be called the Grand National Series.
Okay.
So maybe bring a title back. Like I don't know.
Because like NASCAR, they have multiple primary sponsors, and they just hide them underneath of the Cup Series, and that's how they handle all of that.
Maybe we'll say something like that, and maybe call them the Grand National Series again. Which at one time the Grand National Series turned into Cup, and then they kind of kept it because it was like the Busch Grand National Series.
Well, they're not going to go back to any type of alcohol or obviously cigarettes, anything like that. I think some sort of energy drink company would be viable. I mean, Monster is one of the biggest sponsors, but you could have the Red Bull series. That would go well.
Yeah, Celsius, I don't believe is a big enough company, but
no.
I mean, NOS is in the freaking racing big time. They used, they with all the stuff. So I don't know how big of a company they are.
That could be one. I think if it's going to be anything, it's going to be something random. We didn't even know what Xfinity was before all this. So I think
you could see like the T-Mobile series, like a big wireless company, or
like we had the Sprint Cup series.
The Google Fi series or something.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, Short NASCAR's got some sort of plan. I mean, the series is going to keep moving forward. They'll figure something out.
Yeah.
It's just whoever wants to pay the money for it. I'm good with going back to Grand National, or I think some sort of energy drink company to bring in that type of, let's say, Gen X people. That could attract some folks. I think that's why a lot of energy drink companies sponsor these things. Like in sprint cars, they'll hand out free NOS energy drinks during the races. That could be an option for that, but just something to think about.
The Starbucks series.
Yeah, that's not going to happen. It better not. I don't. I'm not sure if that's a viable option based on certain NASCAR beliefs and Starbucks beliefs. Not going to get into all that, but All right. Well, I think that does it for this week. Make sure you guys share and follow anywhere you get your social media. Follow the YouTube channel. Subscribe to that. The my X account.
Yeah. Who would you guys like to see be the sponsor for?
I'm gonna put that poll out there on X and probably a post on YouTube as well, and see what you guys think would be a good sponsor for the now Xfinity Series. What it could potentially be. Like anywhere you get your the what?
The TikTok series.
Oh God. Truth Social series.
Yeah. Okay. Now you're really gonna.
Well, you want to keep going. We're done.
Yeah.
We'll see you guys next week.
All right. Bye.